It's The Drive on your local radio station. We are ESPN Blacksburg, and a good Thursday afternoon to all of you. My name is Paul Van Wagner. Nathan Brennan is in the other studio taking your calls at 866-961-1430. 866-961-1430. We'd love to hear from you today if there's something on your mind.
Keep my hands to myself. No matter how hard I'm trying to.
Scott Nason.
I want all to myself.
Scott Nason. Scott.
I love Scott. Like a love song, baby.
Scott Nason. Scott Nason. Scott Nason. Scott Nason.
Absolutely, let's go.
Scott Nason joining us today. How are you, my man?
Paul, doing wonderful. A little chilly and rainy up north, but got plenty of rays last week to soak up all this rain and ready to talk sports with you.
You did. You went to the Bahamas. Now, was it a cruise, or were you just did you find an island somewhere and lay on a hammock? What'd you do? Fill us in. We're curious. The listeners want to know.
All the above.
Okay.
Yeah, all the above. Me being a retired Navy man, well, I shouldn't say retired. I was in 5 years.
Yeah.
This is actually the first time I ever set foot on a ship. And it was a cruise ship. 5 days. My girlfriend and I went down to the Florida, outside of there, and to the Bahamas, so it was a good time had by all.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it. Now, we do have one question for you before we start, and you probably saw this on Twitter. You may not have. Is a breakfast burrito considered Mexican food?
No.
Okay. 65% of our listeners agree with you, and you and those 65% are absolutely 100% correct.
Good.
Yeah, you did. You've been trying to make excuses as to why it's just stop talking. Stop talking. Just stop. Soccer going on right now. Not a lot happening in the world of soccer, but there are some matches that are going on. A few women's international friendlies, but we also have some championship stuff happening too, don't we?
We really do, Paul. And, as I watch the Premier League more than any other soccer league, it has been a banner season for the Premier League. We saw last weekend Manchester City win their second straight Premier League. How about Liverpool? They lose one match in 38, and they finish second place. They will have won the Premier League any other time, probably but a couple with their point total. They finished second. So you have that story. And then you have the Champions League final, which will be on June 1st, Saturday, June 1st. You have two British teams there. You have Liverpool, who knocked off Barcelona. You have Tottenham Hotspur in the final, two British teams. And you have the NIT tournament, also known as the Europa League. That'll take place on Wednesday, May 29th. In the beautiful city of Baku, of course, as you know, Paul, in Azerbaijan. I don't know how the heck they got that final there, but it's going to be Chelsea taking on Arsenal. So if you look at all those combined, you have one of the best seasons in the history of soccer, really, in the Premier League with Manchester City and Liverpool. And of the major European competitions, you have all four teams coming from the Premier League. It has been a great season for the Premier League.
And a little bit closer to home, the USA women's team will be playing a friendly. They beat Old Zealand last night. Now tonight they play New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard to believe. I always thought they were united. But apparently not. Apparently there's a long-standing feud there. But, Team USA, gearing up for the Women's World Cup, which will be here sooner than you think. The matches actually for Team USA start on June 11th.
Oh, wow.
They're in the Group F. Of course, the Women's World Cup will be played in France in a pretty good group as far as they should escape out of there. They play Thailand in their opener. They also have Chile and Sweden. Sweden probably the best of those three squads. So, Team USA gearing up. These friendlies are important, but for a team like Team USA, you want to make sure you get everybody out there, you kick the ball around a little bit, you win 4 or 5-0, and you're really just gearing up towards what's going to be a very exciting Women's World Cup coming up next month.
When you get to the Women's World Cup, obviously winning in the group with Chile, Sweden, and Thailand is important, but it really begins when you get to those knockout rounds, the 16, if you will, the Sweet 16 of the Women's World Cup. Who poses the biggest threat for Team USA?
You have to look at some of these other contenders or teams that have been there before. I mean, you look at just going through the other groups, in Group A, obviously have France, which is a good team being the host. The host teams usually have good standing in the tournament. Norway's a pretty good one there. In Group B, Germany looks like they're the best of that one. Group C, interesting one there with Australia and Brazil. Both those teams, ones to watch out for. England, we saw their rise in the last World Cup. They will definitely be one to watch for. And you can't count out Canada as well, but, you look at these groups and the way it fits for Team USA, as far as the one team I'm worried about the most, it's hard to say. Watch out for that England team in Group D. They're you talk about their men's team a lot, and the women sometimes gets kind of lost in the shuffle, but they're a good team. I look for England to have a strong run in this World Cup, but it goes to Team USA. They are definitely the cream of the crop.
Scott, Trey Lyle here, ESPN Blacksburg. If you look back at Group F for Team USA, the Sweden, the team that is coached by the former manager at Team USA, of course, and as well as the team that eliminated the Americans in the last major world tournament, the Olympics. So, big sense of revenge coming in that group, don't you sense?
I think so, Trey. And the Olympics, and nothing against the Olympics, but as far as soccer, that's definitely second place as far as compared to a World Cup. And I think it's a distant second. And so while Team USA, many of those members still on this roster, I don't think they look at that one as a major disappointment. It's obviously a disappointment. Team USA is expected to win, it seems, most of World Cups and Olympics, but I think they stand a good chance against Sweden. But Sweden, I think, also advances out of that group, and who knows? They could make a little bit of a run, considering they may be playing some. It depends who they match up against in the next round. I just don't see a Thailand or Chile advancing out of the group in Group F. I really think it's USA, Sweden, and whoever wins that match obviously will have a big leg up on the competition.
One of my favorite meals is Chile.
Good on a day like this. It's like 43 degrees up here, Paul. I could use some Chile right now.
Paul, it's pronounced Chile.
Whatever, however you pronounce it, I like it with some beans, a little bit of meat, put some tomatoes in there, a little cumin. You got to have cumin. Cumin is the key to good chili, Scott Nason.
Yeah, I'm glad you pronounced it better than I do.
By the way, it's 75 here. When are you coming to visit us?
Very soon. I got used to that warm weather. I don't like this 40 degrees in May stuff.
I hear you. Talking about Team USA, and you mentioned England, another team that intrigues me, and these are two teams that the American women tied with in their friendlies was Japan. Japan, another one that gave Team USA a little bit of trouble. I mean, they end up tying. They don't end up losing in that contest. Could Japan be one of the teams to look for in the Women's World Cup?
Paul, I'm looking through the groups here. I don't even know if Japan is a qualified team.
Really?
I could have that wrong. I'm not sure if they qualified. Maybe Trey can help out on that one. Trey, is Japan in this year's World Cup or not?
They are.
Oh, maybe I'm just looking at the wrong teams.
Yeah, Japan is in Group D with Argentina, England, and Scotland. Your favorite.
Yes, exactly. And they are a team to be reckoned with as far as the Women's World Cup, because they're one of the few countries that has won the Women's World Cup other than the United States, and a team that's given them fits over the years. So, yeah, Japan, I think, is definitely one to watch out for as well.
So let's switch gears here to a sport that everybody loves a little bit closer to home. And the NBA had their draft lottery the other day. I don't know that you can call it rigged because the two smallest market teams ended up getting the first and second pick. But those people that wanted to see Zion Williamson in New York, including Zion Williamson, are going to be sorely disappointed because the Knicks pick third. Scott, what is your take on the draft lottery?
Absolutely love it. I love what the NBA did here. You're getting rid more of tanking at the end of the season because of the percentages and not making it so weighted down for the team that finished in last in the NBA. I thought it was great. Of course, my conspiracy theory hat went up. I had the tinfoil on the antennas when I saw the Lakers made the top four with the 2% chance, and of course the Knicks were in there. And I thought for sure that one of those teams was going to get Zion. Stephen A. Smith, I think, is still complaining about it on your network. But I love it. New Orleans, baby. How about that, Zion? Enjoy New Orleans.
You couldn't be more wrong, but that's okay. We still love you.
Wait a minute. We're not sure if he's going to New Orleans yet.
Yeah, so that actually brings up a great point. Nathan is a strong believer in this, that Zion, he hasn't signed with an agent, he hasn't signed a shoe deal. Therefore, he still has his amateur status. He could return to Duke and play another season and see what happens next year. Scott, put a percentage on Zion Williamson returning to Duke and playing another year of college basketball.
0%. He would be absolutely foolish to give up what will be a multi-million-dollar contract. I don't care where you're playing. It's still going to be a good deal for him. You go back to Duke, you may have one more of those shoe instances, and it could be a lot worse, like an ACL instance, and then you're getting nothing. So, Zion, go get paid.
My question is, Scott, could he pull something like an Eli Manning, John Elway kind of telling the Pelicans, look, I'm not going to play for you guys. I'll sit out a year, enter the next draft, whatever. And maybe try to wiggle his way out of New Orleans.
I think that's a much higher possibility than going back to Duke. I mean, like you said, Trey, the gentleman that you mentioned there are prime examples. I don't think he's going to do that, but it's possible, and it could be a very interesting run up to the draft and draft day coming up in June.
Would New York fans trade away Daniel Jones and R.J. Barrett to get one Duke player in Zion Williamson? So a 2-for-1 switch of Duke players.
They might. I mean, Zion definitely has the hype. We haven't seen this hype like this in quite some time. I'm not sold as far as him being the all-encompassing guy that's going to totally dominate the NBA. He could dominate Michigan State, I might add, in the round of 8. But we shall see. And it's going to be very interesting. We could see some moves. Anthony Davis, will he stay now in New Orleans? I think maybe his trade me now is going to go away. But it's going to be interesting. The NBA is in a little bit of a pickle now with New Orleans getting the number 1 pick.
Seems like Duke to New York is becoming the new link. So my next question is, who will be the better pro? Daniel Jones or R.J. Barrett?
Boy, that's a tough one. It's hard to say. I mean, that's a coin flip as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if I had to pick one right now, I think it's Jones. I think he has a little bit more to add. I think you saw Barrett disappear at times in big spots during the NCAA tournament this year. But again, it's close. I'd take neither one of them on my Detroit Pistons. I'll tell you that much.
Potentially, speaking of the Pistons, Scott, a lot of NBA mock drafts show Virginia Tech's Nickeil Alexander-Walker potentially going to the Pistons. If he shows up in Detroit, will you join me buying a jersey of Nickeil Alexander-Walker?
Well, I will say this, Paul, and I warn you, the last time that I bought a jersey of a Detroit Piston after a draft was, I believe, in 2003. The second pick,
Come on.
You might remember his name is Darko Milicic. I still
You bought
have
a Darko jersey?
Mind you, 15 years later, collecting dust. I have a Darko jersey, so I don't know about that, Paul. You might be on your own on that one.
Worst pick in Detroit sports history: Darko Milicic or Eric Ebron.
Ooh.
So you got to say Milicic. At least Ebron caught, I think, one pass.
Okay, all right, it's close. It's close. All right. Oh Jesus! All right.
Should the Pistons take a flyer on something they should have done in 2003 and this offseason sign Carmelo Anthony?
No. I think 2003. Yes. I think Carmelo's days are past him. I just don't see him on that team. But hey, I like it. Why not? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll surprise us.
Scott Nason, where can our listeners get more sexy takes from you?
Go to the GameSportsShow.com. We're taking a couple weeks off, but we have other shows and content on there. We'll be back with a brand new edition next Monday.
Well, as always, my friend, we appreciate you, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
I'll miss you.
Yeah, this is
Trey. Hey, Trey! Congratulations. It took me a long time to pass college, I might add, and we will miss you. And I see you on Twitter, so we will keep in touch.
Sounds like a plan, man. Thanks for making the phone calls pretty easy.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott. We'll talk to you real soon. Scott Nason, we'll take a quick timeout when we come back. There's some NBA going on tonight. We'll chat about that on the drive.
ESPN Blacksburg, 93.1, 97.1, and ESPNBlacksburg.com.
Start jumping. Extreme Springs Trampoline